So we're on a mission to love well, to live Jesus, and to believe big. And today on this Resurrection Sunday, it starts with this. It starts with you coming to know that this should not be just another resurrection. Not just another one, not just any old ordinary. And so you got to understand the task that I have to having celebrate this for so long, for so many times. I got to every year get to the place where I ask God, I need you to do something in me so that I'll know that this is not just some ordinary resurrection. And this is the reason why I've determined that for the rest of my life, and how long he has me in church pastoring, how long he has me standing before people, ministering the word across the nations and things like that, I've determined that what must go alongside of a biblical text, a Bible verse, is there has to equally be the balance of signs, wonders, and miracles. Because we live in a culture where the concept, the idea of religious faith, religious convictions, more specifically Christian faith, is being confined to the container of personal opinion and personal experience. That is, I can no longer stand publicly and decry universally that we ought to be followers of Christ. I cannot persuade, coerce, I cannot manipulate, conform, contort anybody's life to the idea that Christ is the universal path of getting to God. Can't do it. It comes across as my personal opinion. So the challenge of every preacher in the 21st century is how do I take what has been reduced to a personal opinion, a deep conviction, and present it in such a way so that you come to the conclusion that it's not just something I should believe, but it's got to be something you believe too. And it comes down to not just merely being able to read a verse, but to pray that God actually demonstrates what you hear in your ears, that it might show up practically in your life. In fact, what you don't know today is that there are secret believers sitting among you who are ready, if I release them, to telegraph and testify to you that this is not just something written on the page, but this is something they've actually experienced in their life. Amen. And while we can all argue about the interpretation of the text, you can't never argue about the interpretation of somebody's experience when they tell you they know that God is real. Amen. We can argue all day about whether or not what Genesis says is true, but you cannot argue with me when I tell you I know God did something in my life. When nobody else was there, God was there. Yeah. When everybody else walked out on me, I felt a presence. And you can argue with me and say, you never saw him, but I don't have to argue about whether or not I saw God. What I know is there's something deep inside of me that I know unequivocally that there is a God. Yeah. And whether you get it or not, I'm going to get it. All I ask you to do is to triumph for yourself. Yeah. And I guarantee you, if you open yourself up to who he is, he will never disappoint revealing himself to you. Wow. So we got to get this. Look at somebody said, we got to get this. So I thought that for this, I thought that for this Resurrection Sunday and this sort of comfort time that I have, I thought that what I would do is I would take the resurrection and lead you to seeing things backwards rather than forward. The beauty of this celebration, the beauty of this moment today is that we all have the benefit of 20/20 vision, right? Look at somebody say, I can see better now that I know better, right? It always is clear when you know better. Hello, somebody. It's always much clearer. And so the benefit of 20/20 vision is we can take a Bible and we can look back at what was, so that we can have a better sense. So we can start with the resurrection going backwards. So without question, this is Resurrection Sunday. What that means is that we are gathered, and people are gathered in churches in this nation and have already gathered in some points around the world. We're gathering to celebrate the resurrection of Jesus Christ. I'm talking about in the context of the church. Now, outside of the church, they're celebrating the Easter Bunny and Cadbury chocolates. But in here, we're celebrating the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Yeah, what is the resurrection of Jesus Christ? But Jesus Christ, who has been called the Son of God, the Son of Man, who's been called the keeper of David's keys. He's been called the way, the truth, and the life, the good shepherd. He is the door. He is the understanding. He is the wisdom. He is the Logos. He himself got up from the grave. That's what the Resurrection Sunday is. No fillers, no smoking guns, and no side tricks or parlor tricks. We celebrate the fact that he died. That is, when you know what we mean when we say he died? No pulse died. Not coma died, because coma means there's still a life. We're talking about no pulse dead. He died and then he rose from the grave. That's what we celebrate. We celebrate that he rose. And what makes it significant, his resurrection, is because of the fact that he is the Son of God. So he, the Son of God, died so that the created of God can have a right relationship with God. So God chose that the way he would fix the bridge between us and him is that he would send his one and only Son, who would be the bridge that we cross over, and crossing over him to have a right relationship with God. Now, for the sake of no argument at all, we're not introducing the founders of any other religion, nor are we laying the groundwork for any other religion to get into any argument or to despair or disregard what anybody else may be floating around or engaging with. For the sake of this moment, it is Jesus Christ that we're celebrating today. And we're celebrating that he got up on the third day. The significance of his resurrection is that if he's still alive, then that points for us the idea that one day, if we die, we shall also be alive too. The resurrection is an indication that death has been conquered. That means that every funeral you've ever been to, while you say goodbye there, it's only a temporary goodbye, because there is life on the other side. And the resurrection of Christ reminds us that there is life after death. So I thought that I would introduce to you verses of Scripture where Jesus out of his mouth spoke life. But we get to look at those verses going backwards. That is, starting with his resurrection out of the tomb, we get to look back at what he said as opposed to looking forward at what he said. Amen. Because it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier. It is a lot easier. It really is a lot. It really is a lot easier to believe a man who got up from the dead than it is to believe a man who died and he never got up. Oh, y'all hear what I'm saying? Because here's the thing. If he didn't, oh, y'all hear me over there? Listen, if he didn't get up, then everything he said dies with him. That's right. Come on. Yeah. That's right. If he didn't get up, everything he said dies with him. It was good sounding, right? If he doesn't get up, John 3:16 just sounds good. That for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believe in him should not perish but have everlasting life. That's a good sounding verse, and we greatly appreciate that he was brought as a sacrifice, but that verse don't match just simply other verses that came out of the mouth of Jesus where he was speaking life. In fact, the word life is referenced in the New Testament. That's Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. It's referenced in the New Testament over 200 times. So over 200 times, everything that came out of Jesus' mouth was life, 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 life. And if you match it up, you will find that he spoke life in every situation that a person encountered. He spoke life if they were sick. He spoke life if they were broke. He spoke life if they were struggling. He spoke life if they were depressed. Jesus makes it clear that no matter what situation you find yourself in, there is still life out of it. In fact, 7 of you can bless God because you are alive even though you have faced some dark situations that should. 2 of you ought to have a praise coming out of your mouth because you've encountered some stuff that should have taken you out. Literally, you should be dead. But somehow, anyhow, God showed up and brought life in the middle of a dead situation. I can't even tell you At 18 years old, there's no way I should be standing here. 18 years old, driving from work one morning. Worked all night long, tired as I don't know what. Roads are slick, doze off at the wheel, wake up and my car is spinning out of control and slams into a telephone pole. It wrapped the telephone pole, and the only compartment that stayed intact was the driver's side. I'm supposed to be dead. And yet, every death situation that any of us have ever encountered, there was life in the middle of it.
Praise God. Hallelujah. Praise God.
Every time he spoke life, he didn't speak life when people were having parties. He spoke life when people were in the middle of going through what they were going through, and that didn't seem to be any answer. In fact, whenever he was confronted with death, he was not moved. It didn't bother him. And you know why it didn't bother him? Because he told them that they gonna kill me, but I got an answer to when they kill me. In 3 days, I'm gonna get up. And I'm gonna show to you that no matter what you might face, I got the life to make it happen. So, for instance, in Matthew chapter 6, verse 25, you know what he says? He says, therefore I tell you, watch this, do not worry about your life, what you will eat or what you drink, or your body, what you will wear. Is not life more than food, and body more than clothes? He said in John 6 that I am, watch this, he says, I am the bread of life. If you know that you're going to die and not get up, why would you make a pronouncement that you are the bread of life? Because if you make the pronouncement that you're going to be the bread of life, then you're only going to sustain me while you are alive. What am I going to do if you die before me? Where my help going to come from? But when he makes the declaration, I'm the bread of life, he's letting them know that even if I encounter death, don't you count me out. Because death is just an assignment that I must accomplish. But when the assignment is accomplished, I'll come right back up, and the bread you need the day after, you still going to be able to eat.
Yeah. Praise God.
So essentially, 3 days without bread. Can I just talk to somebody? 3 days without bread, that is the 3 days that he was buried, it's just 3 days of fasting. Because come early Sunday morning, we break the fast and we begin to eat again. Come on, somebody. Luke 6:40 says, for my Father's will is that everybody, watch this, listen, for everybody who looks to the Son and believes in him shall have eternal life, and I will raise them up at the last day. A dead man can't make no proclamation like that. John 8:12 says that when Jesus spoke again to the people, he said, now watch this, I am the light of the world, and whoever follows me, watch this, will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. Well, if I follow you and you die, then how will I know how to get for the next place where I'm going? So when he speaks, he understands that death is an assignment. It is not the end. You know what he said in John 10:10? He says the thief comes only to steal. Oh, y'all must come to church regularly because y'all know that one. The thief comes to, listen to what the text says. Listen, the thief comes only. That means he has no other mode of operation.
Come on.
He only comes to steal and to kill and to destroy. Wow. Every time he shows up, one of three things going to happen. He either going to try to kill you, he's either going to try to steal what God gave you, or he's going to try to take you out. That's the only assignment that he knows. Yet, in spite of that threat from a formidable foe, Jesus said, while he only comes to kill, to steal, and destroy, I have come. Yeah, okay. The front row got it. They must be all preachers. Listen to what I'm saying. Rest of y'all better get a hold of this. He said the enemy only comes to kill, to steal, and destroy. When he if you feel yourself under attack, he's doing his assignment. Because he ain't coming to make you laugh. He ain't showing up to make your life better. If whatever you're going through has not directly resulted to something you did, then the enemy is on assignment to either kill you, to destroy you, or to steal whatever God has put in you. But Jesus says, but I have come. Somebody say, I have come. I have come that they may have life. Do y'all know the rest of it? And that they may have it how? More abundantly. He come to kill you, but I come to give you life. He come to take from you, but I come to give you the fullness of life. He come to destroy you, but I come to give you life. Now watch this. If he can take it from you, whatever, can I just tell 7 of you now, whatever he took from you, Jesus can give it back to you.
Thank you, God.
Are you hearing what I'm telling you? And he says, all you got to do is look on him. Now, this is not a debate on whether or not you should investigate other religions, because that's really irrelevant at this moment. At this moment is you need to focus on the situation you find yourself in and recognize you need to try something, because what you've been trying has not been working. And if the only invitation is for you to look on him, because look, he ain't asked you to do no work. He just asked you to look on him. And if you do the looking, he'll do the working. In fact, what you'll discover is he's already done the work. All you got to do is just do the looking. He says, whoever looks at me, come on somebody, you already got looking down pat, because I saw how you looked at some of the people when you came in here. You already know how to give somebody a side eye, a stink eye, a bad eye. You know how to give somebody, you know how you look. Come on. Look at somebody and say, I know how to look when I know how to look. You know how to look. I know you in here trying to perpetrate, but let somebody take your spot that was yours. What you give them a look? What you on $2.95 or $95 or $6.95 or $4.95 and a car is in front of you driving all slow? You got someplace to go. You finally make your move around them. What you giving them? A look? As though a look gonna mess them up. As though a look, but they know because you give them a look. Like somehow your look is supposed to communicate how upset you are that they held you up, when reality sets in and you look at that rearview mirror and discover you were late because of you, not because of him driving. So you already know how to look. Jesus said, what I need you to do is take all that energy and you looking how you looking and look on him. That's the same look that Peter and John asked the lame man at the temple the day called Beautiful. They didn't ask him to do any prayers. They didn't ask him to do any church work. Guess what they said? Just look on us. Silver and gold have we not, but such as we do have, in the name of Jesus, get up and walk. Look at us. And listen, so all he wants you to do is look. Look at somebody say, you got to look. Look. You know what John 14:6 says? You know what it says. I am the way, the truth. Listen, why make a pronouncement about being alive if you're going to die and not get up? He says in Acts chapter 2, this is what it says. God raised this Jesus to life and we all saw it. You cannot mess up what we saw. You can argue whether or not it matches up with the law of Moses, but here what we're to tell you is that the law of Moses ain't got nothing to do with what our eyes took in. We saw that man get up. We will listen, sometimes you got to deal with the theology later and just get to doing what you know you need to do in order that your life might be changed. Stop arguing about the Bible when you know you wasn't reading it in the first place. You're going to argue a verse and you ain't opened up the book. You don't even know what Malachi is. And the only reason why you're familiar with Malachi is because the Sunday you decide to come to church, they're teaching about tithing. You're like, here they go again. Well, you only came once in the last 51 times. So it's destined you might, and maybe God sets you up. Anyway, you know what Acts chapter 3 says? Acts 3 says, you killed the author of life. You killed the author of life, but God raised him from the dead. Come on. And we witnessed it. 1 Corinthians says, watch this, listen very carefully. Listen to what he says. If there is no resurrection of the dead, then Christ is still dead. So if he didn't get up, guess what? You are a part of the biggest con and hoax that's ever been produced by the religious community and that has ever been established. In fact, our time here, if he didn't get up, it's all just a game. It's just a shell. Hey, In fact, we're just sitting here going through the motions if he didn't get up. In fact, you would be insulting all of us in here who are highly intelligent, who's got even some sense of understanding and accountability and thinking and such. You're insulting us because what you're telling us is that we're believing a lie. Okay, call me a lie any other day. But today, while I'm here, I know without a shadow of a doubt that there is a Christ and he has risen from the dead. And you say, well, how can you prove it? Show me in the Bible. I'll do you one better. I won't show you in the Bible. I'll show you in my life.
Come on, Bishop. Hey!
Come on, somebody. I'll show you in my life that he lives. Because when you watch my life, you will come face to face with a power that is not my own. Because can't nobody do what he do unless he got what he got. And we got what we got because John says greater is he that is in us than he that's in the world. Just follow some of these folks who have made a decision to follow the Lord. And when you look at them now and look at them then, and you put two and two together, you'll come to the conclusion there's got to be a God. Because you're supposed to still be drugging. You're supposed to still be doing what you're supposed. And yet here we are. Not because we were capable of doing it on our own, but there was an invisible power that got a hold of us one day. And the reason I am that I am is because he is who he is. Come on, touch your neighbor and say, there's a God and he's alive. And he's alive in the person of Jesus Christ. And if Jesus, Perry Hyman, was not raised from the dead, then you and I are in trouble. Because that means that death is a finality, which puts us in a position to fear it. I would be afraid of dying if Jesus didn't get up. I would be spending all my time, watch this, living afraid of dying too soon, too early, too fast. But because he got up, death is not a hold on me because I know I shall live. You know what Paul said in Philippians chapter 3, honey? He says, I want to know Jesus and the power of his resurrection. Come on, look at somebody and say, I need that power. He says, I want to know the power. Wouldn't you want to Wouldn't you want to tap into a power source that can take a completely dead man and raise him up? Now that's power.
Wow.
Come on now, about 6 of you right now thinking, I got a situation right now where I need that power.
Yes,
I don't need the whole current. I just need to plug in for a minute. Come on, somebody. Because I ain't in the middle of something that's worthy of death, but I am going through something that's got me down. So I don't need a charge for long. I just need a little juice. Come on, somebody. And if I could just get a little juice. Come on. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Look at somebody and say, I ain't trying to be greedy. Come on. What did the Syrophoenician woman say in the Gospel of Mark? When she came and said, listen, my daughter is vexed with a spirit. And Jesus said, it's not right to take from the master's table and give it to the dogs. She wasn't offended. And y'all need to stop being offended when you know you need an answer from God. She wasn't offended being called a dog, because if being called a dog will get my daughter healed, call me all kinds of dogs. But while you're calling me a dog, bow wow, yippee yo, yippee yay, but heal my daughter. He ain't gonna call me no dog. You barked when you was in the club. You was barking while you was all out there in the streets. Now you got a little money and a little education. Your zip code done changed. Got more letters on your car, ain't covered by rust. Now you can't make no noise before God. And now in your pride, you just sit and won't open your mouth and cry out to God that you need something. But the Syrophoenician woman said, call me a dog if you want to. But even the dogs desire the crumbs that fall from the master's table. If all I can get is a crumb or a hymn, I know that everything's going to be all right. I don't need the whole loaf. You ain't got to make me a sandwich. Just get me a crumb, because there's more power in the crumb that falls from the master's table. He said, I just want to know the power of the resurrection. Somebody, look, come on, touch somebody. Say, I need that power. I need that power. And you just made a contact with somebody. Did you feel any different? Probably not, which means they're not the power source. And if you in here and you carnal, you felt something you ain't had no business feeling. Hello? Because you don't think because you under the roof of the church that all of a sudden you're, come on somebody, listen. Romans says, and through the Spirit of the holiness, was appointed the Son of God in power by his resurrection from the dead. He was appointed the Son of God in power by his resurrection from the dead. When he got up, we called him the Son of God before he got there. But when he got up, he shown up the Son of God. Because can't nobody do what you do unless God's anointing is on him. And so I want to present to you that everything about life Jesus spoke about from a different perspective because of the resurrection. The reason why you have to believe it is because the resurrection seals the deal. The resurrection is the prescription for viewing every word, every miracle, and every act of Jesus Christ. In fact, when you go through the Gospels, every word of Jesus is prophetic. Every word is prophetic, spoken by the prophet of all prophets. Every word is prophetic. And get this, the resurrection is the life to the prophetic. Because if he did not rise, then everything he said could not come to pass. So his resurrection seals the deal on the prophetic word that he spoke. What did he speak before? If you look on me, I'll give you a life. If you look to me, I'll give you a life that will change your life.